squeeze in one more video while my kids are cooperating. So let's do one of the names where you have the names across the back and it's in a circle. We're going to do that. So I know I keep doing wood, but we're going to do it again, guys. Let's do this one. Okay, we're going to pull this into our Photoshop. And I'm doing this one on Photoshop. So I'm going to do my grandmother. So her children, Timothy. Let's go ahead and make this where we can read it. Actually, we can probably do this in white. And then let's make it much bigger, not that much bigger. There. And let's change the font. I should really pick out my fonts before I make this. So we're going to write it all out and then we'll come back and change the fonts. So I'm going to put a dash in between. So Timothy, David, Thomas, Daniel, Jonathan, Joseph, Becky, no, no sir. Rebecca, Deborah, these are so out of order. Mary, Matthew, Sharon, James, Samuel. Yes, these are all her children. I should have picked someone with less children. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yay! I got them all in there. 4 girls, 9 boys. Okay, so now we're going to come through and we're going to really quick, we're going to pick a different font for each of these names. So just for the sake of being quick, I'm just going to scroll down and select the random one. As long as it's visible, we're calling it good. Okay. Okay, really, if you're going to do this, you can take more time picking out your fonts. If I take too much time, I'm going to be here for a while. We probably shouldn't do that one, though. It's going to stick out too harshly. Let's do that. Jonathan, Joseph, and by the way, all of these people are my aunts and uncles, and every single one of them goes by their shortened versions of their name. And so Tim, Dave, Tom, Dan, John, Joe, Becky, Deb, Matt, every single one of them. Samuel goes by Sam. It's pretty amusing. Okay, Deborah. This is the most tedious part of this design, is coming through here and picking a different font for... What would you like?
An apple.
An apple.
Apple.
Now you want the apple. Okay, I will get you one as soon as I'm done, bud. So earlier in the video, he totally asked me for an apple, but then we got to the kitchen and he changed his mind and wanted a popsicle. So I promise you, I did get up and try to give him what he wanted after the last video. Okay, almost done. If you're sticking to prints, you can stick to print, you can stick to script. If you want to try to mingle them, that is fine. I would recommend, like, so far I haven't done any script, so it would look really awkward if I started doing script right here at the end. So if you're gonna do it, add it in sooner rather than later. You don't want to have all print and then all script towards the end, because even though we're gonna kind of mingle these lines a little bit, you still want to mix it up. Okay, so one more. Okay, so there we go, and we're just gonna leave it. I know it's going off the canvas, but it doesn't really matter. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna pull this up here like this, and then we're going to come down here. We're going to drag this layer down to the Post-it note. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a new layer exactly like that layer. So I'm just going to, for the sake of getting it done, I'm going to keep doing this until I have some layers to start with. And then we can just drag it down here, and I'm going to pull this over here. I'm going to go back and grab a new one. Actually, you might want to do them individual layers at a time. That way you don't have to keep figuring out which layer you're working with. Kind of just merge them in and out, if you will. Let's go back to this side. And the rulers are going to pop up and show you so right now I have 0.361 inches in between all of them. So kind of go with those guidelines and keep it like that. So let's go that way, and then let's go back to duplicate this layer. And I think this is the one that's duplicated now. Go over here. Let's duplicate that layer. And you want to make sure you're not cutting it off, like go back and forth. But remember, you're going to be cutting a circle out of this, so don't go too harshly one way or the other. So like this one, I might have put too far over, so let's go ahead and we want to make sure we have a good consistent circle here. Which one are we on? Let's do this one. I'm going to go down, I'm going to drag it this way. Okay, so once you have this set up, it's going to get pretty easy to work with. This is really just the most tedious part, and you can use shortcuts to duplicate this layer as well. So always remember shortcuts for everything in Photoshop. But look how good it's going to look, guys. And even with as much time as this is taking, it's still nothing in comparison to how long it could take. So let's go down, let's duplicate, let's do 4 more lines. That way I make sure I have a nice big circle to work with. And since this is her children, I'm going to put mom in the middle. This woman is my grandmother, and she has 13 children, like in the 70s grandchildren, and I think almost 90 great-grandchildren. It's getting kind of ridiculous. But she still remembers most of our birthdays. Like, she'll call me and tell me. And then she also, like, anytime she knows when any of us grandchildren are pregnant, she has all of our babies. Like, she knows when we're having babies. It's impressive how much she can keep up with. So now that we have that all in there, let's go ahead and get our circle here. And we're going to make a nice circle over the top of that. We're going to come down here all the way right below Jonathan and right above Rebecca up here. And we're going to make sure, one thing you want to make sure of is make sure you're in a spot where you get everybody's name in there at some point. So, in hindsight, we probably should have put some more Timothy's over. So right now, let's see. We need to move a few of the older kids over. So let's go to select inverse and let's go to deselect this. So we're going to imagine our circle in here. Actually, we're going to draw an actual circle to help us out here, because we can erase this and this is going to help us as our guide. So, okay, this is going to be our guideline. So we're going to make sure we have all the names we need in this circle. And so it looks like we're missing a few of the older kids. So we're going to just come here and we're going to grab, let's go to more in the middle. Okay, so right here, and we're going to pull this all the way over to where it has the names we want to see. That Tim, David, Thomas that never really get in there. We have a bunch of the middle children. So thanks you don't think of when you're doing it. Let's go here to another one. And let's put this one all the way towards the end. So we have the younger kids being represented. And let's just do every other one. Let's go ahead and change this one way or the other. So we'll do Timothy right there. We'll come back to that one's fine the way it is. So just go down here, and if you ever see like themes like right there in a row, so right here we have 2 Josephs, 2 Rebecca. So let's come here and grab one of these. This is where it really helps to have some labels on your things here. Okay, it looks like we're going to be here. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this all the way over. Let's get Joseph off and put, actually we can do it kind of in between right there. Okay, so that'll work for now. Obviously you can play with it. The main thing you want to do is just make sure everyone's name is in here. Right now I'm not seeing Samuel's name very much, so let's go ahead and make this one with Samuel in here. And then it kind of merged up there. Okay, so there, we're going to go with that. Okay, so now we are going to get our crop tool, and we're going to, if you start at the square mark, so pretend this is a square, as you bring out your ellipse tool, it's going to get around that circle, and we don't want it to be too big. So let's go down, and then let's align it with our guideline here. That way we know we got exactly what we need. And let's go ahead and turn off that guideline now that we have our ellipse. So we're going to go to select inverse, and we're going to delete, oh, sorry, my guy. We're going to delete the background there, make it white. Okay, and now any text, there is some text hanging out over here, but since it's white, it doesn't matter. We can also put all these in a folder together. Okay. And then let's go ahead and trim up our image here. So image trim. Okay, so now we're down to this. Let's go ahead and create a new layer, and we have our ellipse off. We don't actually need this anymore, so let's go ahead and get rid of this layer so we don't get, too congested over here. So let's go ahead and deselect, and, oh, sorry guys. I'm going to start my text up here so I can actually start it without it automatically selecting a new text. So we're going to come here. We're going to make this pretty big. We're going to do greatest mom ever. Let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and make this a different color so it stands out. So, and do a different font as well, because you want this to actually be seen. We don't actually want college things. Sorry guys, a lot of this is like playing around with it, so when I get on here to like do the videos, I still am playing around. Okay, let's see what that's going to look like. And let's make sure that this is at the, we want this layer to be at the very top. So drag it up there because you want it to be above all of those words down there. So let's change this so it's closer together. Let's do more like 80. And I hate that font, so we're not going to do it. All of you who have watched these videos are thinking, yeah, she's right, she does. Fonts take forever. I used to work for a guy as a ghostwriter, and I did a bunch of graphics for him. And I had to like keep myself from taking too long finding fonts because he would get very irritated. We're just gonna do that one. Okay, greatest mom ever. And I don't like how the greatest is kind of bulging out there, so let's put greatest mom ever up here. Or we could even do that other saying as, and just put mom, a big mom. Or since she is a mom, we can put mother, grandmother, great grandmother, because she now has all of these titles. Okay, so let's do that, and let's make it a little smaller so it all fits on here. And since we are doing that, let's go ahead and give it a curve. Let's bulge it out in the middle. Tone it down a little bit. Yeah. So there we go. So that would be even cooler if she had the names of, you know, everyone back there, but that would take forever. I don't even know all my cousins' names, so let's play around with colors here. This is where you can go back in. You can see if any color is going to pop out better. You can also come here to this group of text back here, change the opacity on it, and tone it down just a little bit right there. And so now your mother, grandmother, great-grandmother text is going to show up a little bit better. Because with that background coming through those words, this is just going to pop a little more. So I'm going to stop playing around with this. But you guys, there's how you can do the names. I don't recommend writing the names every time. Make one standard line of text and just copy and paste it, or in this case, duplicate the layer. So you can then move each layer and have different names and different fonts going the whole way down. So yeah, the downside to that is your Rebecca's are all going to look the same. But really, unless you're committed to just sitting there changing the fonts of all of them, I don't know of a better way to do that. So there's that. I'm going to get my son an apple because he now wants one. But if y'all have any questions, let me know.